All right, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube citizens, y'all know who this is. This is your boy Dash True Inferno. Back at it with another Throwback Tunes on another Thursday, and I am reviewing something that, I'll be honest, I never thought I would review until recently, and that is Brandy's debut album, which just so happened to be called Brandy. So this joint came out September 27, 1994. It was recorded from May of 1993, all the way up to January 1994. And this was done under Atlantic Records. So the producers involved were Darryl Williams, who was the executive producer, Keith Crouch, Kenneth Crouch, Arvale, Matt Clinton. Oh, this is new. Something for the People, no G, but it's the apostrophe, and Damon Thomas. And I believe that's it in terms of all the production involved or producers involved with this album. So yes, it is. So let's look at how well this album did on the charts. So it was 26 in the Australian album charts, 20th in the Canadian top albums charts, 86 in the German album charts, 119th in the UK album charts, but 15th rather in the UK R&B album charts, 20th in the US Billboard 200. And number 6 in the US top R&B/hip-hop albums charts as well. And I believe that's all the charts. Yeah, that is all the charts. Okay. Now, by the end of the year, 1994, it was 76 on the US top R&B/hip-hop albums charts. But by the end of the year, 1995, it made its way back on the US Billboard 200 at number 42. And it moved up in the US top R&B/hip-hop album charts, going all the way up to number 8. And then by the end of the year, 1996, it was still in the US Billboard 200 charts at 190th. And it did get certifications. It was gold in Canada with 50,000 copies sold. It was silver in the UK with 60,000 copies sold. And it was 4-time platinum in the US with 4 million copies sold. And it sold about 2.14 million in the US and 6 million worldwide. So that's a pretty good debut album, although there's one other album that is better than this one, charts, certifications, and sales-wise. Yeah, and I'm going to review that one next week. And I'm kind of excited about that one, to be honest. All right, so with all that out the way, actually, no, that's not true. So when I said the album came out September 27, 1994, that was in the United States, Canada, Australia, and France. It came out December 5th, same year, in the UK and Ireland. And it came out the following year, February 3rd, 95 that is, in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. Now, let's take a look at the tracks. So there's 14 tracks, and right off the bat, that's the automatic top 3 that I can give you, not the top 5. There's 3 skits, although technically, she's singing in those tracks, but there's skits. And there's some very interesting info involving these 3 skits, by the way. We'll get more on that later. The first track is called Moving On, no G, but with the apostrophe, followed by one of the 4 singles off this album. This is the second single, Baby, followed by another single, the third single off this album, which just so happened to be the third track off this album, which is called Best Friends. Then we got the first single off this album, I Wanna Be Down, at Wanna as in W-A-N-A. And then we get the first skit off this album, which is called I Dedicate, Part 1. Sounds familiar? I'll explain in a second. Track number 6 is the 4th and final single off this album, which is called Brokenhearted, followed by I'm Yours. Then we got Sunny Day, and then As Long As You Are Here is the 9th track, followed by Always On My Mind, which is, I want to say, I heard that song, either it was on the radio or somewhere else. I don't remember. I want to say that's a single, but I could be wrong with that. They don't have it listed as a single. There's no music video for it. So I don't know. I might have heard it on an album. Not an album, but a soundtrack for a movie or something like that. But I have heard it elsewhere. Track number 11 is called I Dedicate Part 2, which is the second skit. Then we got Love Is On My Side, followed by Give Me You. And then the last track off this album is actually the last skit, which is I Dedicate Part 3. Now, apparently all 3 of the skits that I Dedicate was sampled by Drake on his song Fire and Desire. You remember how the song started with the whole I Dedicate? And it is weird because I didn't hear part 1, and I didn't hear the sample in part 1, but I definitely heard it in part 2 and especially part 3. So yeah, I can believe. So it's possible. So yeah, there's that. All right, let's get on with the singles real quick. So we got I Wanna Be Down, which is the very first single off of this album. It came out September 5th, 1994. So wow, okay, a few weeks before the album drops. So there you go with that. Now a little bit of background info on this one. So it was written by Keith Couch and Kipper Jones. That's interesting. And yes, there is a music video for this as well. Okay, so check this out. So Brandy, apparently her full name is Brandy Norwood, in case y'all wondering. But Brandy initially did not like the idea of releasing this song as her first offering. So there you go with that. And actually, yeah. So she didn't like this to be the first single. And I'm quoting her here. "I Want to Be Down was interesting," she said in a retrospective interview with Complex Magazine back in 2012. And then continuing with her quote, "I didn't really get it at first, but I was young and I didn't really know what at radio or what it was. I liked the song, I just didn't get it being the first thing that people heard from me," end quote. So upon its chart success, we'll get to in a second, she changed her mind on their decision, however. And then we're going to continue on with the quote. "Once it was released and I saw why everybody responded to the title phrase, I understood why," end quote. So there you go with that. So there's a music video for this. And I think she was like 15 at the time when this album dropped, or when she was working on this. And apparently there's a hip-hop remix for this one. So check this out. Upon its release, Atlantic Record head Sylvia Rohn came up with the idea of re-recording the track with a group of rappers. "I Want to Be Down" was eventually remixed with a new lyrics from female rappers MC Lyte, Queen Latifah, and Yo-Yo. I gotta look her up. I'm not familiar with Yo-Yo, but okay. And I'm quoting here, "The hip-hop remix meant the world to me," Brandy said in 2012. "I'm fresh out of the box and these superstars are a part of my first single. They are my mentors and I looked up to them. I was a huge Queen Latifah fan. I'm thinking," quoting within the quote, "Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me," and the quote within the quote. But continuing on with the original quote, "I got the chance to vibe with all three of them. They embraced me they embraced me as a little sister. I was one of the first R&B artists to work on hip hop onto an R&B beat. It had never been done before quite like that. I knew it was a special record." And even the hip hop version have a music video as well. That's pretty cool. All right, let's take a look at the charts. It was 12th in Australia, 11th in New Zealand, 36th on the UK singles charts, 15th on the UK dance charts, number 5 on the UK R&B charts, 6th on the US Billboard Hot 100, 4th in the US Hot Dance single sales, number 1 in the US Hot R&B/hip hop songs charts, and number 3 on the US Rhythm charts. By the end of the year 94, it was 100 on the US Billboard Hot 100, which is pretty ironic if you ask me. And it was 24th on the US Hot R&B/hip hop songs charts. But by the end of the year 1995, it was 89th on the Australia album charts, 49th on the US Billboard Hot 100, and 22nd on the US Hot R&B/hip hop songs charts. So it had risen up the following year. And the single was gold with 600,000 copies sold. So that's a pretty good debut single if you ask me. Next up, we got Baby. So this came out the Christmas Eve of 1994, and it was recorded in 1993. Actually, this one and I Want to Be Down was recorded in 1993. And yes, this one does indeed have a music video as well. And this song was conceived within a few days only, and it was created during additional songwriting sessions with Sean Patterson, with who Keith Crouch have worked on several songs for the Brandy album. So there's that. And a little bit of info here. So this is Patterson commenting in 2011. "I remember going over Crouch's house for 2 nights in a row, and from the first night that he wanted to play the track for me, I heard what I heard, but I kept it to myself because I was pretty much intimidated, thinking he would think it was horrible. Then by the third day, he was like," and I'm quoting within a quote, "We got to turn this song in by Friday, so wherever you think of, just sing it," end quote. So I sang to him what I heard instantly when he played it, and he was like, "Man, you've been sitting there holding that?" So that was another quote within a quote. So, oh yeah, continue on. "Most of the background vocals and instruments were recorded in one of Crouch's bedrooms. Upon hearing the demo track, Brandy applauded the song for its flavor and soul. During recording, she was reportedly inspired by idol Whitney Houston vocally, saying, 'I wanted to be exactly like her musically.' So there's that. And again, got a music video. So now let's take a look at the charts. 16th in Australia, 4th in the, oh, this is new, Canada Dance/Urban charts, 68 on the Canada Top Singles charts, number 4 in both, and really all of the following charts: New Zealand, US Billboard Hot 100, and the US Rhythm charts. It was 38 in the US Mainstream Top 40, and it was number 1 in both the US Hot Dance Single Sales and the US Hot R&B/Hip Hop Songs charts. By the end of the year, 1995, it was 47 in the Canada Dance/Urban charts, 37 on the US Billboard Hot 100, and number 10 on the US Hot R&B/Hip Hop Songs charts. And it was platinum with 1 million copies sold in America. So that's pretty good as well. Now let's look at Best Friend. This came out June 27, 1995. It was recorded in 1993. And yes, there is a music video for this one as well. Now, the song was also featured on her hit series Moesha, where she and Kim, Countess Vaughn, cheerleading in the final scene of the episode's Friends that aired in the same year, hence the title of the song. The song was dedicated to her brother Ray J, so there's that as well. And she performed the song on Soul Train, June of 1995, and Showtime at the Apollo that same year, but in October. So there's that. Now let's take a look at the charts. It was 11 in New Zealand, 34th in the US Billboard Hot 100, number 4 in the US Hot Dance Single Sales, and number 7 in the US Hot R&B/Hip Hop Songs charts, and 17th on the US Rhythm charts as well. By the end of the year 95, it was 98th on the US Billboard Hot 100 and 37 on the US Hot R&B/Hip Hop Songs charts. And in case I forgot, I think I mentioned it, but I'm gonna mention it again just in case. This album came out June 27, 1990. I mean, not the album. The single came out June 27, 1995. Now, the fourth and final single off this album is called Brokenhearted. And yes, there is a music video for this as well. It came out August 22nd, 1995 in North America. Now, the album version was recorded in 1993, but apparently there's a soul power mix with Rania Morris that was recorded in 1995. So that's interesting. So, yeah, there's that. And moving on, like I said, there's a music video for this one. And see, with Brandy, that is. Remember during the release of The Best of Brandy in 2005, and I'm quoting her here. There's a funny story behind the recording of that song. I really wanted to go to Six Flags, but the producers kept saying, only after you finish recording. I sang my heart out. I wanted to go to Six Flags so bad. You can hear the passion in my voice, end quote. So that's pretty interesting. Now, the idea for a duet version of the album originally came up while Brandy was on a 2-month stint as the opening act on Boyz II Men's national tour in early 1995. I should review their albums actually. Both artists, and I'm assuming they're referring to Rania Morris, were on the airplane on the way to another city when Morris got his hands on a copy of Brandy's debut album. And he said, and I quote, I was listening to her album on the plane and I was like, and I quote, yo, we should do a duet of Brokenhearted, end quote. And all the quotes right there. That's what he told MTV News the following year. So that's pretty interesting. And I guess that's pretty much what happened. So in the remix version, or the Soul Power mix version, was produced by Soul Sock and Carlin. And there you go with that. And actually, yeah. I thought he released his own album, but no, I think this was a part of the Boyz II Men album. All right, so let's take a look at the charts. It was number 6 in New Zealand, number 9 in the US Billboard Hot 100, 11 on the US Hot Dance Single Sales, number 2 on the US Hot R&B/Hip Hop Songs charts, number 5 on the US Rhythm charts, and that same year, by the end of that year, 95, it was 77 in the US Billboard Hot 100, and 40th on the US Hot R&B/Hip Hop Songs charts as well. Now it's time for me to rank these tracks from worst to first, but before I do that, let me take a look at the skits. Let me give you guys my thoughts on the skits, rather. So, I dedicated part 1 and part 3. Those tracks were cool, but part 2, I thought the track was really cool. Slightly different there, but that difference was really the factor there. Moving on now towards the rest of the songs here. Giving You, the worst track off this album, only by comparison. The tempo is cool, same with the melody and the bass. The kick is borderline cool, really cool. The snaps are really cool. Overall, the track is cool nevertheless. Then we got Brokenhearted. Tempo is cool, same with the melody and the bass, although the bass was only used during the hook. The kick is cool and the snaps are borderline cool, really cool. Overall, this track is still cool. Next up is I'm Yours. The tempo is cool, same with the melody and the bass and the kick. The snare is borderline cool, really cool. Overall, the track is still cool. Then we got Love Is On My Side. The tempo is cool. I want to say there's a sample here, but I can't identify what it is. So whether it is a sample or not, but the melody there is cool nevertheless. The bass is really cool. The kick is cool. The snare doing the verses is really cool, but the snare doing the hook is just cool. Overall, the track is still cool. Then we got As Long As You're Here. This is a semi-smooth track right here with the tempo being cool. The melody is really cool. The bass is borderline cool, really cool. The kick is a bit unique but cool nevertheless. And the snare is borderline cool, really cool. Overall, this track is still cool. Then we got I Wanna Be Down. Semi-smooth track. The tempo is cool, really cool. The melody is really cool. The bass is borderline cool, really cool, but should be louder though. The kick is also borderline cool, really cool. Same with the snare. Overall, this track is really cool. Then we got Moving On. The tempo is borderline cool, really cool. Same with the melody. Very little bass, and that's why the bass was just bland. The kick is really cool, but it's bass. It got the basic pattern, and it kept it from being excellent, so it was just really cool. The snare is really cool as well. Overall, this track is really cool. Then we got Sunny Day. The tempo is really cool, same with the melody. The bass is borderline cool, really cool. The kick is really cool. The snare is borderline cool, really cool. Overall, this track is really cool. Now it's time for the top 3 tracks off this album. The best track off this album is Baby. The tempo is really cool, same with the melody. The bass is cool, but it was only used for the hook, and I didn't like that. The kick is really cool, same with the snare. Overall, this track is really cool, despite the lack of a consistent bass, that is. Second best track off this album is Always On My Mind. Another semi-smooth track. The tempo is really cool, same with the melody. The bass is borderline cool, really cool. The kick is really cool. Snare is really cool. Overall, the track is really cool. And the number 1 track off this album is Best Friend. The tempo is really cool. The melody is excellent. The bass is borderline cool, really cool. The kick is really cool, same with the snare. Overall, the track is really cool. Best Friend, best track off this album, followed by Always On My Mind and Baby. So let's look at some professional reviews. AllMusic gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Entertainment Weekly gave it a C. The Los Angeles Times gave it 2 out of 4 stars. People gave it a positive review. Robert Christgau gave it a N. I have no clue what that is, but okay. And the Rolling Stone album guy gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars. So what do I think about this album? Okay, based off of the professional ratings, I'm gonna say this album is underrated. I'll be honest, this was a very good album in my opinion. It had a very good start with the first 4 tracks. It's kind of slowed down a little bit, but then there was some other tracks further along the line as well. I'm gonna give this album 4 out of 5 stars. I recommend you download it, and I recommend you keep it. And they did a good job with the first 3 singles that they picked. I don't know about Brokenhearted, I'll be honest, but I Wanna Be Down, Baby, and Best Friend, those are all great singles. All of them are classics, especially I Wanna Be Down and Best Friend. And obviously, you heard me right, Best Friend, the best track off this album. 4 out of 5 stars. I recommend you download it and you keep it, and I'm gonna call it a wrap. So with all that said, y'all know who this is. This is boy New J Gatsby, aka the new Stephen A. Smith, saying peace out, y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Yeah.